Hey, everybody. It's Jeremy from jeremy.net. I am a comic book artist, writer, self publisher, and I share my creative process here with you online. If you enjoy these live streams, like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress animated GIFs, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, you can sign up for my free newsletter at substack.com/@Jeremy. And if you would like to purchase physical copies of my comic books, or if you read digitally on Kindle, go to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page. All right. And for paid Substack subscribers and Patreon subscribers, I've got the voice channel open on Discord if anybody wants to chat while we're on the stream. And we are going to, well, that's so weird. Okay. No, sorry. My brain is a little bit loopy as I'm getting back into the swing of things. So I went through all of the different cover comp sketches that I've been working on. I've got one particular sketch that I like the most. Here, let me turn off these other layers. Well, I would have to turn up the opacity so you can see it. It's like 7% opacity. So out of all of the backgrounds, of all of the thumbnails, this is the one that I like the most. So giant, like multi-eyed rat creature, and the eyes are kind of like tumors coming out of it. Hovering over her, trying to attack, threaten her. So yeah, I'm just trying to take that now to a cleanup and then a final line. And to be honest, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, why do I even need... I started going in here, and let me lower the opacity. I started by saying, all right, let me rough in kind of the perspective that I want. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, you know what? Why don't I just straight up just go into inking this? I was originally thinking I'm gonna do what I normally do, which is a rough layer and then a cleanup layer. And I think I might do that for the actual figure work. But in terms of the environment, I'm like, let's just go. Let's just go for it. Actually, you know what? Now that I look at this, I'm thinking what I really want to do. Oops. I'm going to erase all that, and I'm going to come in here and just do the rough figure work. I see folks rolling into the chat. See Byron in the chat. Hey, Byron. James is here. How you doing? Morning, gang. Or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. Let's see here. Bring this opacity up a little bit more so I can see it a little bit better. I want the opacity to be just dark, just low enough that I can mostly see through this, but not so low that it's difficult. Oh, I'm drawing on the low opacity layer. Let me go to the... Make sure this layer is on full opacity. Let's see here. Oh, James asks, did you use a ruler or something for those lines? Ooh, he says, I'm good, thanks. Woke up with a roach next to my bed this morning, which is just what I wanted to see. That's nasty, man. You need to get some roach traps out there. That's no good. And hey, Scott Circlin in the chat. Scott, how you doing? I hope that you are doing well. Yeah, I am finally getting back to, and to be honest, like doing comics work. And to be honest, I really was tempted between working on this cover. I haven't had a chance to properly break down my outline into panels, but I was tempted, instead of working on the cover, to just say screw it. Let me just get back to doing pages. But you know, I have fought against this with my perfectionism for way too long. It's time to just dive in and get back to making stuff, and the challenge of trying to make something a little bit better than the day before. I saw someone pop in to the voice channel, or at least I thought I heard it. Let's see here. By the way, I'm going to do something that I have not tried before, but I'm going to change the audio settings in Discord. In theory, this setting I'm going to put on here is supposed to allow the it's supposed to allow the audio to just to come through. Excuse me. We'll see how it goes. You know what? I better leave this on regular. Yeah, until someone shows up, and then I can ask them whether this works or not, because I'm afraid what I'm doing right now might break this stream. James, you asked a question just about how I did the straight lines. So Procreate has a feature where if you draw a line and you hold the stylus down, so I can, I tap undo, it'll just go to the wavy line that I drew. So you can draw a wavy line and release your stylus. But if you draw your wavy line and then hold the point, it will create a line that you can now make perfectly straight and move wherever you want. And if you take a second finger and put it on the screen, it will now snap to degrees. So I think it will move in like 15-degree increments. So you can make it, it'll automatically snap to you. You can do a vertical, a horizontal, or certain degrees in between. Or if you let go, it'll just smoothly end wherever you tell it. So you can make it as long as you want, as short as you want, and whatever angle you want. And so that is how I made those straight lines. It is, I think, one of the best, one of my favorite features in Procreate. So that is how I did that. Let's see here. And Paul is in the chat. Paul Pate, how you doing, man? He says, I'm here, just got home from the gym. It's good. I hope you got a good workout in. I am looking forward to trying to go for a hike later today, although I've got some family errands I got to take care of too. So we'll see how that goes. But you know, I mean, I've still got multiple thumbnails for the covers that I was working on, like 3 different thumbnails that I thought all worked well for different reasons. But at a certain point, I was like, look, if I know that this one that I'm drawing now is my favorite, what am I bullshitting for? Just get in there and do the one that's the favorite. So I'm trying to, I guess, actively fight my perfectionism. I know it's there. I know I have a tendency to want to make everything perfect. And I need to accept that it's not going to be, and just figure out how to move forward as efficiently as possible. I'm also trying to take advantage of all of the work that I that I do in figure drawing class and just simplify these figures down to their essential like gesture and structure. Let's see here. I think we might be having that problem before that like we were having before with my settings here. Herman?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I'm gonna try switching one thing here in my audio on the and I want to see if it makes it so that your audio sounds shows up clearer and louder for the audience in the live stream. So
Yeah,
hang on a sec.
because it's doing whatever's doing, it's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What you about to say, and then and also like the chat for some reason wasn't showing up on my listening. So I had booted out, went out a couple of times, and I still didn't see the chat. My listening. It could be my computer. I'm not sure, but
Okay, are you still there? Okay, so whatever it did, it went janky, or well, it didn't go janky. I'm gonna switch it back to where I had it before because I don't think it's letting you speak. Okay, how about now?
yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna check and see if you can still hear me when I make this switch. I'm gonna try this. All right. So tell me if you can hear what I'm saying through Discord versus hearing it on YouTube.
Okay, I see your mouth moving on the screen.
But you're not getting any audio? Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to leave things the way they were. The only thing that, because right now, the way it's working, it is working. The only thing I was trying to do is find a way to boost the audio because in the playback, in the replay, your audio comes out really, really low. And I was trying to see if there's a way I could fix that so that you would sound as loud as I do. And
Right. So maybe let me see if I can. I'm trying to think. Maybe I have to turn mine up. I don't know. Or maybe you have to because like I know you can adjust people's volume. Like when I used to stream, I could turn certain people's volume up back and forth. Like whoever was because sometimes some people's values were like louder than the
mm-hmm.
vibe. So then I would like try to bounce it out. So they they can still talk. I can hear it. So it can also be clear when we were streaming. Like when I was doing Twitch back in the day. So you had to go into like the what's the name? The not the not YouTube, but Discord.
Yeah, I'm looking at the voice and video settings because that's where I was able to set it just to even make sure your audio came through it at all. But I don't see anything here that allows me to adjust that. Well, I do see automatic gain control, but it sounds like if anything, that's going to help improve keeping your audio. Because for me, I can hear you just fine on here, and if I have trouble hearing you, I just need to turn up the volume on my laptop. But it doesn't seem to come that way for the audience. I think for the audience, it's a little bit lower. But you know what? We just got if folks are gonna have to. Well, actually, let me wait a minute. Maybe
Now I see the chat now.
okay. All right. Let me see. I am curious to automatic gain control really sounds like it should be helpful, but I'm going to turn it off for just a minute. And people in the chat, you can tell me whether all of a sudden the audio levels sound, you can just say better or worse. So I'm going to switch to turn that automatic gain control off for a minute. What are you up to?
For me right now.
Yeah, just in general, just how you doing is what I'm saying. Now I'm like I figure we could talk for a minute and people can tell us if the audio chat
Right.
is
Well, right now I'm just chilling. Like I was just kind of looking forward to like seeing what was up with the game today. That's about it. I mean, I didn't really have anything planned. I
mm-hmm.
haven't really been. Well, I've been sketching at work. I just been doing like school doodling and stuff like that. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really big or fantastic. Just sketching and just trying to keep my hand, alive
I feel you.
Yeah, but this is struggle, especially with it hot and all that, man. Just trying to tend to my moms. It's just a lot. So
Yeah,
I
summer
still
is
haven't.
here.
Right,
Well, anybody in the chat? Oh, Paul says worse. All right, I'm gonna switch it back to the audio. I'm gonna switch it back to the way it was,
right.
and we'll just go with it from there.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
let's see
It's like
here.
barely audible. It's barely audible.
Okay.
It's, yeah, you probably have to go like one of the things like if the icon like go on my icon and then you I think you right click it and then you can adjust the volume in Discord. I guess if it's in Discord.
Let's see. Well, I've got your. It says user volume, and I have you at max.
Oh wow.
So no, see, well, that's the reason why I was thinking that it's a setting thing because
Yeah.
on my end, just talking to you through Discord, you sound completely normal. You sound completely
Right.
fine. I can hear you clearly. I was only trying to see if I can figure out a way to make the audio and maybe it's something where I need to stop messing around with Discord and take a look at the StreamYard settings because maybe
Right.
there's
Oh,
something.
StreamYard. Oh yeah. So that's what you run to do StreamYard.
Yeah, because OBS just seemed like it had just
It's weird.
too many
Yeah.
switches.
Well, that's weird because I use OBS.
Hmm.
So I mean, I had a like it was difficult for me to watch StreamYard because that's OBS is that's the double version of it, right?
Well,
StreamYard.
different companies, but my understanding is that StreamYard was just trying to take the complexity of running a software from your own streaming software from your own desktop and just say, look, we're going to make it so that all the controls are in the app. It's all just one platform. It'll save your library of files for you. Like it was just trying to I guess dumb it down, but I really liked how it dumbed it down. It made things easier for me. As a matter of fact, I know Scott Circlin was in the chat earlier. Scott, if you're still there, do you guys use a combination of StreamYard and OBS? Because I know like Josh will have like multiple screens or have a split screen. You can see him drawing while he's on Artcasters, or anyone else who happens to do a StreamYard OBS combo. How's that working for you? Because I mean, I have OBS on my machine. I started using it years ago when I first started
Yeah,
streaming.
it was like when I was using it,
Mm-hmm.
then it was fine. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything was cool. It's just but every once in a while, like if you go out and believe me, it's like if you mess with anything, like it'll rock your whole. You be in here like pulling your hair out trying to reset
Mm-hmm.
like little things with microphones and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very
It's fussy. It's temperamental.
right, right. But when it's working, you can get it. You know, it'll do its thing. But yeah, it's just like it's like you. That's the thing about it. I worry about every time when I used to do Twitch. Like I was like, man, okay, I'm about to do streaming today, and I'm like, okay, and then just the anxiety with this because I was like, just I know it's going to be some messages trying to start it up. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
fine, and then next time I'm being there pulling my hair like minutes before I'm supposed to be airing. So like I had my little fighting channel. It's called Midnight Fighters, whatever. So because I've been playing fighting games and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a lot.
Mm.
OBS.
Yeah, it was. I think I had like one or two of those, and that's what was enough to turn me off from OBS. And
Right.
to be honest, the only reason why I even used OBS is because, as insane as it sounds, I'm sure that YouTube's internal streaming software has gotten better. But when I first started streaming, YouTube's own streaming setup was just such garbage. And I was like, no, I need something else or I can't do this. And then it seemed like OBS was doing the trick. And then after watching a few other people do using StreamYard, I was like, I think I need to jump over here.
Right.
And they have a free plan that I was using for a long, long time. And then I can't remember what it was, but there was just something where there was some features, and I can't even remember now because I've been on it for so long. But there were a couple of features where I was like, you know what, this is worth paying a few bucks a month for.
Right.
So
I'm clicking some microphone like features in Discord, hoping maybe it'll clear it up some. Maybe I don't know. Instead of using the default, what's the name? Uh,
I wonder what would happen in let me see here in well, because now I'm looking at the YouTube, not the YouTube, the StreamYard settings, and I am going to switch a little something here in StreamYard and see if it breaks anything. So everyone listening in the audio, basically for anyone who knows that black hole plugin that allows audio from different apps to all pass through, I'm going to try switching my speaker, my outgoing, to the black hole and see if that well, no, because I think all that will do I don't know. Let me leave my speakers the same. I'm gonna make my input the black hole and see if it just carries the audio from Discord. So if the audio, you guys can just tell me if the audio completely, my audio completely goes away right now. All right, I'm going back and now I'm looking at the chat. Let's see here. I love how now we're doing the audio the audio doctoring stream. Let's see here. Paul says, yeah, strictly StreamYard. Connect with my phone to show my drawing. Okay. Yeah, see, man, because that's the weird thing. I've got like the Discord running on the laptop, but then I've got physically connected to my tablet to show what I'm drawing. Scott says, yeah, we use StreamYard OBS combo with an ATM Blackmagic Mini to switch cameras. I don't even know what any of that is. I have no idea what an ATM Blackmagic Mini. I assume it's some sort of visual switching hub, but I mean, obviously, the professionals that you guys are, you've got your tech game on a whole nother level. Maybe I need to get out of the dark ages. I see Hussein in the chat. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Scott says, we do have issues with mic levels in StreamYard. It keeps switching from my Yeti back to the desktop mic. So, and then, Paul and James both said, I think you're muted. So I think we're just going to have to,
I'm muted.
no, I was muted, but that was when I remember how I said you could hear me, but no one else could. That's what that was. Because I have both Discord and StreamYard set to my Yeti microphone, and I tried switching StreamYard to that.
Jeremy, that's why. That's why. Like you got, yeah, that's gonna be hard, man. Like trying to, because you everywhere. Like I try to, at least you can find something just like this, like focus on. Like you got three different like programs, right? That you have voicing through.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I do feel like it adds a lot of fun having, having you here in the conversation while we're streaming. I think we're gonna roll with it, and maybe it's something where I can try to troubleshoot over time. But yeah, the long and short of the problem is simply trying to figure out how to have the audio of a guest, boosted while we're doing this, if the guest is coming through Discord. But yeah, when you were talking earlier about just it hard getting back into the flow, I remember like last week when I went to my figure drawing workshop, I had spent the week before kind of butthurt about how I had gone through one of those periods where it feels like I'd forgotten how to draw.
Right.
And then after, like, I go into class, and I had spent the week before, I had literally spent probably 2 nights where I just spent an hour or 2 just drawing what I'm doing right here. Very simple stick figures, primitive shapes to try and practice, drawing the human figure. And by the end of that, I had gotten sort of back to where I wanted to be artistically. Like in terms of, like, I could just draw a basic figure in a reasonable amount of time in proportion and then start kind of building the volumes and the anatomy. And I found that the act of going through all of that to get myself to where I wanted to be, when I was in class, I was like, okay, I went through like a couple of days of really, really sucking, and now I'm doing that thing, and it's like, oh, okay, it's coming easier. It's coming more naturally while I'm in class in front of the model. And even now, what I can see is a difference between me needing to warm up a little bit in this session and things being kind of rough, but I'm thinking about the stuff that I spent a couple of days practicing, where it's literally like, drawing a simple cube for the pelvis and having legs, and then a simple cube for the upper body, and putting sticks on that for arms, and literally like just practicing that for hours. Now I can come back and say, all right, in that little stick and box mode, fix my proportion and fix the gesture. If it feels stiff, fix it there. If it feels too long or too short, fix it there. If things just feel like wonky, fix it there. And I found that going back to that level of fundamentals
Right.
is reassuring, because after doing it for a while, it starts feeling, I don't want to say I start feeling competent, but it's enough that's like, okay, I haven't completely lost my mind. I can actually draw to some degree. It's just irritating that after so many years of making art, that I still go through phases like this. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like sometimes I'm flowing,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's like it's like I never pick up a pencil. Or well, I used to read like I don't even draw with a pencil anymore. I've been drawing with like an ink pen since like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's easier for me to draw that way. Because I mean, I guess when I was in class, like sit class and draw, like I was always using my pen to sketch, and then I just kind of just like eliminated the pencil, like just because I was always carrying sketchbooks and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to draw with a pen. I just started drawing like with a pen, and I wanted to make things visible. I would just draw darker.
I've had a lot of people tell me that they prefer sketching with a ballpoint pen because the line is unforgiving. Um, that you can still build up tone and volume with a ballpoint pen, but at the same time, when you make a mark and it's there. And if you mess up, then you just got to learn to work around it. Um, I believe that there's truth in that, but my way of drawing is I'm so loose and sketchy.
Are you doing that, Jay?
I'm still here. Did I drop out for a minute?
Like I just disappeared.
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Really?
I hear you.
Oh,
And I'm looking at the Discord, and you're still there.
yeah, I'm here. There you go.
Okay. Um, you know what? Actually, I think I do see a setting that might be like, I think it might be trying to accidentally occasionally mute anytime there's like a little bit of quiet, and I think I need to see if I can turn that off.
But
Because let's see here. Let me see. Voice activity. Let's see here. Automatically determine input sensitivity. Echo cancellation. Turning this off may help if your voice is not being detected. All right, well, I'm leaving that off. I like how in Discord it'll tell you some routers or internet providers may misbehave when this set is on. Like they tell you things that they'll tell you here's a command, but this might break your shit. We're letting you know it's here if you want it, but it might break your shit. No, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna leave things the way they are.
Okay.
I need to go back and forth. Let me check in with the chat here. See what's up. Let's see here. Dylan says, I've been telling myself that it's okay to mess up, especially if it's my first time. Like today, I made my first Greek yogurt bark. So I put yogurt, 3 bananas in a blender I've never used, and I messed up. Let's see here. Didn't know the bottom was able to twist and pop off. Ooh, started leaking. Yeah, that does not sound good. Yeah, well, I mean, life is full of messing up. It's a matter of trying to make your mess ups small so that they don't necessarily have permanent consequences. But it's like you can't live life expecting to be perfect and for everything to be perfect all the time. I mean, that's what I try to tell myself at the same time as I battle my own perfectionism. So it's like one of those where I say it, but am I living it? I don't know. I try to, but I can't say that I necessarily am. You know what? And I just realized as I drew this sword here that the Greek swords, like the kind of leaf-shaped swords, in a strange way, kind of remind me of He-Man's sword. Because I'm looking at this is with this little rough sketch I've gotten there. I'm like, this feels more like He-Man than it does like a Greek sword.
That guy, he just passed away maybe like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half.
Who did?
The guy that did He-Man's voice.
Oh, I did not know that. That's too bad.
Yeah. I know, man. That was nice. He had an iconic voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read the chat. Somebody was like, "Yo, how come He-Man always sound like he's in the hallway when he's speaking to people?" I'm like, "Yeah, it does sound like it when he has the echo voice."
That's called authority.
Right.
I mean, I will tell you, it's sad that he passed away. I do know that like it's really going to be the one who I think really has the iconic voice is the actor who does Optimus Prime.
Oh, yo, I'm like, I think they're trying to like make more Transformers movies. I guess before he passes because it's like his 80s or something. Or,
yeah. I mean, he'd been around for a hot minute.
Yeah, he's been doing that voice since I was like 12. You know what I'm saying? Like. I mean, I can't see nobody else doing it. I mean, you got people like that do a pretty good job at mimicking, but like you can.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't think you can replace him. You need to just find somebody who does their own version of it. Like I still haven't seen Transformers 1, but the idea of having Chris Evans, huh?
The movie Transformers?
The one with Chris Evans, and I was like, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is Hemsworth. Yeah, the idea of having him and just saying, all right, this guy's going to be Optimus Prime. And I mean, it's Idris Elba is doing Megatron, right?
I don't know. I just didn't really have any interest, but for some reason they said the movie did really well.
Well, I mean, the trailer looked better than any of the Michael Bay ones. That alone, like it's like it just looks like it's fun, clear, simple storytelling.
I don't know. I don't know if I want my Transformers. You see, I don't know. I'm like, because I like the cartoons, and I like the take that Michael Bay had on it. But then after a while, I just started getting kind of silly. I mean, come on, yo. I'm like, I understand you got to do things to try to like draw people's attention. But but when I saw part 2, I think I was kind of done at that point when they made Devastator. They were devastated. Like the part of the wrecking balls. They actually used that part as his balls. So you see this robot, fight, and then you see these balls dangling around. They use the wrecking balls for his actual balls, whatever. Like I was like, yo, come on, yo, like. Come on, man. Why they gotta be
It's fun. I do find it amusing,
right? See,
but it's like,
come on, you messing with Transformers, dude. Don't do that.
yeah. Well, see, I have only seen the first Michael Bay movie because so many people trashed all of the other ones, and I mean, they said that
Yeah.
Bumblebee was good, and Dark of the Moon was they said Dark of the Moon was pretty good, and I always meant to go back and watch them, but like time is short and there's only so many hours in the day, so I still haven't gone back and watched them. But yeah, the Transformers one, if anything, I saw that, and that to me looked like, okay, this feels like them. This feels like a solid reboot in terms of they're giving you the familiar characters, but they're taking you back in time. And while the voices might not be the same, like you mentioned, it feels like it's a tone that is both like an all ages movie in the sense of like a good Pixar movie. It's not for kids, it's for everyone. And so it's a fun sci-fi family adventure. That to me is what Transformers felt like it should be.
I mean, I hear you. Like I get what you're saying. I mean, I kind of like I guess what's going on with like the whole Superman thing. Like
Mhm.
I think from watching the trailers as it's been building up. At first, I was like, oh man, I'm like I would not want to be James Gunn because people were just like already hating on him.
Mhm.
It wasn't Henry Cavill. They
Mhm.
kept, it's not like Man of Steel, like So I mean, but as it progresses throughout the month, whatever, and up to like now we about to drop that Superman in about maybe like 7-8 days or something like that.
Mhm.
I mean, it looks pretty. It looks like it's going to be exactly what people want because they don't want a bruised Superman kind of like that. I mean, I don't know. They kind of felt like Henry Cavill Superman was just kind of like brooding and he was like emo and all this other. I'm like, I liked it. I just took that Man of Steel one as like for what it was. Like it was different situation. God just came down. Like he lived his whole life, in fear because I guess the way his father raised him, whatever. I mean, and they was like, the people like, yo, it was like, his father would never do anything like that. I'm like, yo, this just they gonna be making Superman for the next 400 years.
Mhm.
Yeah. Then, like, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, they're gonna have to keep making different types of version or try to keep the core, story like I guess the real people in. But I mean, I guess Gunn definitely a comic book nerd level. So like, yeah, he
Mhm.
kind of added. It has a feel like it feels like I guess the comic book. I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but I think it feels more comic book accurate to a certain degree, and people want to see a Superman that's saving people and nice to people and
Mhm.
the dogs and I was like, yeah, that's that dog element. I said they're gonna really love. People gonna eat that up.
Yeah.
They're gonna eat that crypto all of that the relationship with Lois Lane, whatever. I mean, because actually the relationship that he had with Lois Lane on the Superman and Lois show, that show was actually amazing. That was a good show.
I still have not watched that. I've heard great things, but I just again, hours in the day. I've heard that it's good. By the way, Dylan said that he loved Devastator, and Scott said he loved Transformers One. So that's good. I mean, you know what? To be fair, people get mad about the Adam West Batman because they say it made Batman campy and it made him a joke. Fact of the matter is my introduction to Batman wasn't the comics. It was Adam West and Super Friends. And both of them were playful, lighter. They weren't the Dark Knight. They weren't the gritty like Marshall Rogers stuff. It wasn't any of the stuff that as a comic fan as an adult that I know and love. So it's like I can see how while I would not have put Wrecking Balls on Devastator's balls, while I wouldn't have made that choice, I can see how. While I wouldn't have done that, I can see the appeal of putting because I mean, who's going to see these movies? Teenagers, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. 14-year-olds want to see a giant robot with their balls dangling. They want to see him.
old men gonna see it too because they grew up watching Transformers too.
Okay.
I wanna see that.
Now I did not see the movie, but here's the thing: did he teabag anyone in the movie?
Yo, the way they was dangling and hanging, like you might as well say he teabagged everybody that was sitting in the audience, when he was hanging, swinging back and forth.
Because
Like,
if,
yo, just
because I,
good shot. You know, okay, you know the what's the whole thing, the with the rule of thirds, right?
Mhm.
Now imagine rule of thirds. One side of the screen is just him and his balls, and the other side of the screen is just the actor. I forgot what his name. John.
Turturro?
He was in. Yeah, he was. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So cut the screen in half. Balls on one side, other half. And so you just see it. You know, it was just crazy. And he's like on a walkie-talkie talking about what he's seeing. He's saying that he sees the balls too. I'm like, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, I will tell you that if he had like held down like Bumblebee and teabagged him, people would have lost their goddamn minds.
Right.
It would have been messed up and hilarious. So, and yeah, Dylan is saying exactly what I was saying. He says, weren't the comics campy? Well, no. He said, weren't the comics campy back in the day of Adam West? It's like, no, the comics were very, it wasn't, Frank Miller wasn't around yet, but they were still pretty, they were crime stories. And they had the freak show element that Dick Tracy does. So the villains were weird, and that's where he has this famous cast of rogues. So they were weird, over the top villains, but they were still like crime stories. They're still gritty crime stories. So it
I think that's what they translated over to like the animated series, because they had more like a crime story, like. But they made it more. It was like crime story, but also they kind of made it feel more like Tim Burton's like depressing. Like, I mean, it was good. No, I loved it, but it was. But they, like you say, it was a mixture of both of those. They did a really good job, man. See, those I did him, man. I
remember. And quick shout out to Gary, my boy Gary Hodges in the chat. Another fellow artist, streamer, comic creator of the Dinosaurs versus Mars bots, which, by the way, but the name may sound like it is a fun, campy story. It is a very psychologically intense story of alien invasion and conspiracy theory and corruption. It's a good ass comic. So this is the cover to the first issue of my my next comic.
Oh, I see. I saw the silhouette.
And I was just sitting here, and I actually feel like I should go and pull some reference, because I mean, I for the longest time have tried to decide whether I wanted to have her have a sword or some other unique weapon, and I'm still not completely 100% firm on that. But just for this cover, I'm gonna have her holding a sword, and I feel like I should just pull reference for like this 300 Spartan style sword.
I don't know. It's like you should do like how Marvel used to do back in the day. Like they would have like somebody do like amazing, like the cover art will look nothing like the inside artwork. Just kind of to switch it up. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like doing something like I guess take on. I mean, but that's your style. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because when I open up the book, I know that you drew the cover, and I know that when I open, that you drew the inside also. But it's like, I don't know. That was one thing I didn't like back in the day. I used to get these comic books, and they'd be like, "Yo, you see like a painted, like it'd be like an Alex Ross paint." I'm like, "Wow!" And then you open up the book, it'd be like somebody drew. They can't draw like Alex Ross. You know? Like, I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, they faked me out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, oddly enough, I still like cover artists. Well, I mean, I think that obviously, having a good cover artist, that's a selling point. It's a marketing point for them, and they're like, yeah, if we can find somebody who's going to move the needle, Sometimes, I mean, yes, there's the practicality of the interior artist may not be able to schedule wise do both the interior pages and also draw a cover every month. But a lot of times, like there's books where I've gone through and we've all picked up books just because the cover was awesome, and then looked inside and be like, oh, okay, the inside is maybe a little bit boo boo, or it's not even boo boo, but it's just this is different.
Right.
It's good. I like it. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like, I'm like, and remember, like, J, look, and like, I like Jay Lee's artwork, but
mhm,
like, but when Jay Lee first came out,
mhm.
it's his artwork. It took a lot. I think, I don't know if it was like Jose Verdugo, like somebody had helped Jay Lee, because I remember Jose Verdugo, he was like a teacher of mine, so, like he
Oh,
does like,
really?
yeah, but I did, I ain't gonna get into that, but like he was
Hey, no, I mean dude. He's an amazing colorist.
right, but yeah, but difficult teacher when I was at Maryland State College of Art. Like it was
Hmm.
just, I just felt like, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna
Anyway,
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I mean, but no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say, I don't want you to tell any tales out of school. Tell me what do you think is the most valuable thing that you learned from him?
I guess the coloring aspect of it, like he was like, I think when I was there, like he was just showing us how you can do. Because at the time, like now it's like what we have now as far as, because during that time, like digital was just still kind of like fresh, doing digital like paintings and things like that. And then Photoshop didn't have like a lot of those these special brushes that people are making for people now.
Mm-hmm.
The people can like easily just do work. Like we didn't have all that stuff. So during that time, he was the one kind of like implementing like we could take like we could do like textures and stuff like on the side and scan them in, and then we can mix them in with our artwork. So like we could do like you know uh, 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 blacks or inks, whatever, like on a separate piece of paper, whatever, and do kind of like rough, whatever, and then just do it all kinds of stuff like on a piece of paper, like well, I guess art paper, whatever they have texture and stuff like that, and then
Mm-hmm.
we could scan. And once we scan it in, we could kind of like drag, shift, or whatever, and alt whatever, and copy it over in on our what's the names, like on our drawings and stuff like that, to add textures and different types of styles and stuff to that. Like he taught us how to do that. He taught us how to kind of like the same thing with color. Like he was doing like watercolor like stuff on like paper and stuff like that. And then we could just do the same thing, and then we just kind of like do line work. Line work about like or put line work up like art, and then just kind of like fuse that stuff together. He was the one kind of taught us how to make our work look more like beefy, more meaty. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because back in those days, digital stuff looked so flat and so plain. Because I really wasn't like a fan of like digital work, and I'm like, but as time went on, like started getting more software. I started finding software that kind of felt more traditional, like Sketchbook Pro and Clip Studio. I don't really, it's weird. I don't really use that much of my Clip Studio. I haven't even really used it, but um, I would just use it to do. I was always using Photoshop, and just kind of using like what he taught me as far as like
Mm-hmm.
how to implement like different like line work, and how to juice it up to adding like the inks and the coloring and stuff like that um, with my drawings or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was he helped out a little bit.
Well, I
I ain't gonna
mean,
hate on like that, but it was just, man. I used to go back and forth with this dude all the time. Like I'm just like, come on, man. And, like I mean, for real. Like it got to the point where I was like literally about to. That's another story. I mean, I get
no, you don't. I don't want to put you out there like that because I mean,
right.
the point is that he
I
was.
mean,
Yeah.
it was just like I think what it was like when I went, I was just an older guy. I was like
Mm-hmm.
28 when I was there, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And the thing about it, I was 28, but I had the face of a 19-year-old. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the teachers were kind of like talking to, and I noticed a lot of teachers they were just kind of like coming off on people like, you don't know anything, like I'm like, yo, why they talking to these kids like that? It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of whack. And the thing about it, I was just like, yo, and I mean, not to say that I was, I didn't mention about my age, but then it was just some of the people that I was hanging around, artists and stuff like that. They was like, Carter, like that's my name, Carter. Like, he was like, Carter's like he's like 28 years old. They was like, what? Like he's who he what? Like it was like. Yeah, but I'm like because I'm my age. I'm like, but don't. I mean, stop. I'm talking to these young and upstarting like artists like they're not nothing. Like they like.
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit too much hierarchy, or just
right.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot like that. And then to top it off, it was just like I just really didn't like that about art school. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? You had some teachers that was just amazing. That was just like not just weren't they weren't like that. They were just like they were so amazing, and you just was like enamored. You just wanted to be around them. Like you was like, wow, this dude is or she like people said was just amazing. Like I had a teacher named Susan Waters. You could probably look her up.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing. She does like a lot of illusionism drawings and stuff like that. So I really like it. That's why I really loved her class. Like that's why I'm so really like into like getting really like detailed, like doing detailed sketches and stuff like that. I took a lot from that class. I really love that stuff. And I mean I think it would be really nice to see that type of stuff in comics, but like in a traditional way,
Mm-hmm.
like if I could do something different like that. Because I know people kind of still do like the the blacks and the inks, but like I'm starting to see people like Sean Murphy and them that's like kind of doing like they coming off a little bit painterly with their like with their inks and stuff. I said, well, I can actually do that. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking that you had to be just straight like like blacks, like hard blacks. You could
Mm-hmm.
do a little comic and they put that X right there. They don't even draw the comics anymore. They just like
just the X.
They draw half the comic and then they would like they just put a huge X right there, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
to spot blacks. And then they're you can actually get into it and start doing like like painterly like style. Like I was like I like that. That's why I really love using Rebel. Rebel, you could do that in Rebel. You could set it up to the point where you're actually it's like you're using like real inks, whatever. Like it drips and all that stuff like that.
Mm.
Right. That's why I was like, yeah, definitely you should get it because I'm like, if you like having that authentic feel, like when you're doing your inks, whatever, like it would just eliminate like the mess. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing is the one thing that I have an issue with. I mean, maybe I have to probably get like a new software, or maybe I just have to get a whole new brand new arm, whatever. Because like it just the lines look shaky. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the shakiness of drawing on like a tablet and stuff like that. But,
well,
like,
do you mess? Do you mess with the smoothing?
Yeah, but sometimes like it just seemed like well, I know what you're saying. Like it's like it would I tend to like drawing in what it used to be Flash.
Mm-hmm.
That was called like Animate, Adobe Animate,
Mm-hmm.
and you can set up your lines and stuff like that. I could do like a lot of inks in that, and like it just feels better because like you could set it up where the lines can smooth out a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like. I mean, I don't know. That was just me feeling like, I feel like like I'm cheating, whatever, like that. But it's like,
well,
I know I'm about to, I know you want to do it. I know you want to say it.
Well,
like, it's just to do the best. Like, I don't know, man. Because I mean, I just felt like I didn't want the computer to be doing more than what I should be doing. But if it's there to help you, then do it.
Well, this is I have a different. I have it's not a debating view. It's just a different perspective on it. So the way I look at it is, for me, I didn't for the longest time I refused to use brush smoothing because it flattened everything out and it took what was my natural personality and my line, and it just made it sort of like boom. It's just smooth and it's one arc. It didn't have any character to it. But like a dumbass, all I looked at was on or off. I didn't look at adjusting the percentages of the smoothing down, because I'm sure when you first start working digital, you noticed how you'll make a mark, and the digital, if you're working on a high res file, it has so much fidelity that every little squiggle, every little line shake comes out in it, and your line looks really wonky. And you're sitting there trying to clean it up and fix it. And a lot of times, even in the cleanup, you're making it worse. Now, when you make the exact same mark on paper, on Bristol with ink, you're like, well, it's smooth. and there's a little bit of warble, but just enough to give it character. It's like you have the control to make a smooth stroke, and if you wanted to make it perfectly smooth, you could if you really focus. But if you just make like a expressive mark, you're just drawing, you're not thinking about it, you get a mark that is relatively smooth, relatively controlled, and just enough shake to give it character. And what I realized is, oh, okay, this is about resolution. When the resolution is turned all the way up, meaning your brush smoothing is off, it's capturing every micro shake. When you have it turned on, it's like low res. It flattens out your stroke. So all I did is I would just go in and just bring the percentage down. I think when I draw, I usually draw with my brush smoothing on at like, in fact, what I did was I just created separate brushes. So I have a brush that's called a smoothing brush and then a regular brush. But the one that I have the smoothing on, it's only like 10 or 15%. So it's just all I'm doing is I'm turning down how much it captures of my natural warble. So it's like it's not that I'm trying to instead it's not letting the computer do work for me or not. It's just turning the volume to the proper volume. That's how I look at it.
I don't know. It's weird. I think in Rebel, like you kind of remedy what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, because it feels natural, you know. So by feeling natural, by kind of implementing like kind of like natural, like and the thing about it, what's so good about it, you can still go in and do like you said and adjust just what you like.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like when you're doing like your strokes and stuff like that, it just feels a little bit more natural, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And how my Photoshop CS, I got to go and start bringing down the smoothing and the flow and all that stuff like that to and just to get the sensitivity to kind of like get
Mm-hmm.
where I need it to be. You know, so yeah, a lot different. Just like I said, technology just I think it's a little bit better with Bell. Like, with the over the years, like I think they up to like about 7. I still have about 6. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not spending any more money anytime soon because I ain't really been doing the work. So,
I hear you. I hear you.
So I'm like, when I use this one up a little bit, then I paid for the last one, the 5 and the 6. I said, I'm not buying more. Some a week, but even though I see they have some better new features, I'm just keep, I'm doing use what I got for right now. That's amazing.
If it's still working, I mean, hell,
Right.
I ran uh Adobe CS5 for as long as I could until my machine was just like no, until it just coughed on it.
Yeah, I'm like, and I know when I had to transition over to like, cause now like I said, I got to October until Windows 10 is over with, so I have to figure out how to get this Windows 11 situated on the laptop my sister had gave me, and then that might be like my main personal computer until like then once the upgrade comes out, so I have to. I'm gonna try to update it enough where I can still use it because it's a powerful computer, and I'm just like man, it's like a waste for like how when the OS systems like tend to like go off and then now you gotta find something else to use it. It's whack, and then so meaning that it can probably upset the software that I have on there and all that stuff. I had to find something that's cheap, that's open source that I could probably use
Mm-hmm.
with that. They do a really good job enforcing us to keep buying stuff, and staying in a loop.
Well, I think Windows finally learned from Apple, and they're like, "Look, we can create planned obsolescence too, so people have to keep upgrading." Like, I mean, for the longest time, everyone I knew that was a PC person was just like, "Hey, I can build my own computer. I can buy my own compute components. It's super cheap. I know exactly what I'm getting and what's in my machine." And I was like, "I get that. It makes so much sense." It's just for our age, it's interesting that you're a PC guy because I'm sure you remember being in the same age range, that when back in the day, if you wanted to use graphics, you needed to be on Apple unless you were doing like 3D Studio Max or doing some CAD stuff. Other than that, you needed to be on Apple.
And I was on like 3D Studio Max. I was learning like 3D and stuff at that time. But like 3D is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me
Mm-hmm.
because for some reason in my head it's weird, like I can't can't see how to do 3D, but for some reason I was okay at rendering my stuff in 3D. But for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, like I just couldn't see it as far as like when I was modeling, trying to model it. It was just it's tedious, it's long, you know. Especially when I modeled that one character that I ever modeled, it felt like forever,
Mm-hmm.
because you gotta, especially when you're adding bones and stuff to the characters. Like some
Mm.
people that they making these video games, that's why I'm like half the time I'm like, and again, like I ain't trying to come down. I mean, when people are consumers, like and I tell them as a consumer, I'm like, you need you need to chill with like being all like being all hard on these people with these companies and stuff like that. And like, I mean, these are artists. These are people that are like trying to bring stuff to life. And then like, it takes a lot of time and a lot of, especially I know I respect those 3D people. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, it's because I've done it and I've done it before, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So to have somebody that like sit there and make video games and make video game characters like Kratos and I mean whatever type of like video game you like, Street Fighter, like Street Fighter 6 looks amazing. Like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
these people are amazing. They have the drive to do this stuff, and if people just be like, I don't like the game because like it'd be like small little things. Why they like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like game because I don't like game because I'm like, people like, I'm like, it's ridiculous. I'm just like, you do like these people be spending like their lifeline trying to get this stuff done. It's crazy. Then you have these companies out here treating them bad and firing them, and like I'm like, you just and then you just consumer just like talking trash. I mean, I don't know, because I mean, I come from it from the perspective of like being an artist, like somebody to appreciate, because I know it takes time. It takes time for me to like do what I'm doing because I'm still struggling, with my art. That's why when
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate other people's artwork. I appreciate when people spend the time. What's the guys in your his name that does the animation in your
Amar?
is it Amar?
Yeah.
He did the one he did like the movies with the people that they look crazy, but like it was nice. He did the full like animated features in your group. He was it James? No, I'm trying to remember. He's in your group. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I don't think anyone's done like a full. Oh, you're talking about Jim Lujan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm like, that to have like doing voiceovers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of work, man. It's a lot.
And Jim's been putting the he's paid his dues because I
Yeah,
remember
I
like
know.
I've known Jim for probably almost 20 years now, and I
Wow.
can remember like meeting him for the first time at a film festival. The dude who created El Muerto,
Right.
he a bunch of people kind of showed up because he was screening some of his animation, and that's like I had known like all of us were fans of this one podcast
Right.
that in fact, that's how I even know the Artcasters is through this one podcast, Art and Story, that used to be on years ago, and all of us were into it, and um, a bunch of people that were followers of that were also animators were meeting at this one festival, and that's where I met Jim for the first time. But the Legend of Lujan had already spread, so I already knew. And then when I met him, even then, like the next time I saw him at a convention, I picked up a DVD. I bought a DVD from him at his table, and it had like 15 animated shorts that he had done himself. Like he had done,
Right.
I think, almost all the voices,
Respect
the
that,
character
dude.
design, the animation.
I respect,
Gary's
I,
there. The
I
Legend
respect
of
that.
Luhan.
I respect that, Jim. Like, if you out there, Jim, like,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate Jeremy because Jeremy's doing his thing. I'm like, when people put in that work like that,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta appreciate it. People be like so negative and stuff like it's like. And I mean, I want. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, eventually when I do work, I want to have consumers also, but at the same time, but it's like, I don't know. Some people it's just too much.
Yeah.
Too much. But I guess as an artist and you want people to buy your product, I mean, you have to tolerate that? I guess like when somebody
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, this game isn't working right," da 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 da, like you can't do your combos on this and that, whatever they are. Then you got these game developers like pulling their hair out trying to get the game to get
Mm-hmm.
it to work right and stuff like that. I'm like, people just don't take consideration. People just like I said, people just want what they want. They want Superman.
Yeah.
They want to see Superman be Superman. They don't want Superman to be like Henry Cavill Superman. They want this Superman. They want to see him do the same thing over and over and over again. And if people want to do that for the next 50 to I don't know 100 years, I guess give it to them because they pay for the product. You know.
Yeah. Well, let's see. By the way, let's see here. Scott circling in the chat says, I've never been on Apple aside from an iPhone. He says, I've been a designer since '92. So, that right there, he's on the PC tip with you, which I mean, and like I said, that's the thing I've always understood just from a budgetary standpoint.
Yeah, I'm poor.
Yeah.
That's why I had a PC.
I mean, for me, the way I looked at it is I did never own we had a PC in the house that belonged to my older brothers, but I purchased my own computer. I didn't purchase it till I was almost about to graduate from college. Like in my last year of college, I saved up because I had a job working at a design studio, and they were able to use their discount that they would use for buying electronic equipment. They were really cool. They were really supportive. So they were just like, yeah, we'll hook you up. And they got me a really good deal on the very first iMac was my first computer. And I just got like a little blue one, and they got me a deal on buying extra RAM so that I could actually run softwares at a decent speed. And the IT guy at the job installed the RAM for me. And back when you could open up a Mac and install RAM, because I mean, I have opened up a Mac, and like when I had an iMac, not my very first one, but I had one that did not ship with an airport express card, and I was able to open it up, add more RAM, install an airport express card. So it was customizable, and it was affordable for me to go and get those extra components. But the thing about it was just the seamlessness of the ecosystem, which a lot of people hate being trapped in the ecosystem, the Apple ecosystem. But I found that seamlessness of, as long as you're using stuff that works within it, everything generally works. That for me was the big appeal.
Yeah, I understand. Big money Gary, like he said, he had to get better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even seriously consider switching to Mac until I was pretty far into my professional career and had some income. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm like, I ain't never been there. I'm paying like $75K in student loans. I ain't never had an art job.
Oof.
Right, it's crazy. So like, yeah. So I was able to get the art, but now it's like I have to, because I had other stuff going on. I'm like, I'm gonna have to figure out some other way to get back to the point of able to do my art. Like, I could just work on small stuff, but yeah.
Well, it's funny. One of the things that I plan to do is I was talking to a buddy of mine last night about this, is just in terms of trying to get over my perfectionism. I kind of want to do my next comic where I'm really just drawing layouts and then tightening up the faces and the hands, right, and making sure that every figure has a strong silhouette. So, right, but beyond that, to just make it a lot more, just develop a looser style. Like
it's great that you said it. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I was focused. That's like focused on, because like when I mentioned about like doing like spot inking and stuff like that. Yeah, mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm gonna try to cheat as much as I can. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I can make, do some nice tight old silhouettes, whatever like that, mm-hmm, with some spots, and then I'm pretty good at, I can render like where it needs to be rendered at. So I'm like, if I can pull that off, mm-hmm, like old Marvel comics back in the day, they used to be like a lot of black inks, whatever. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do it if it works,
Yeah. Well, we're getting to the point. It's a little bit past an hour. I made a little progress on this figure, but to be honest, I drew the skirt too even. I need to draw it, even though it's going to be like leather. I still need to draw it like it's wrapping around her. So I'm gonna have to redraw this skirt. I need to grab some reference to look at. That's the thing. That's the other secret weapon is. It's not about using reference for everything I've found. It's a matter of draw something, and then if it looks right, leave it. If it looks wrong, then go find reference.
Oh, this is the one with the Lady Warrior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The skirt's not working. I'm gonna leave it there so I can remember to come back and fix this. But it's gonna need some work. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the stream here, and I think I'll be on again next week, and then we may hit some of those bumps that I had mentioned in the past. So we'll see. But let me hit the last couple of comments in the chat. Let's see. I see the OGG show. He says, "What's good, Jeremy? My bro Van introduced me to your channel." Oh well. Oh, Vaughn introduced you to the channel. Nice. Well, tell him first. Tell him I appreciate the love and welcome to the show. It's a shame we're just getting ready to wrap things up here, but welcome. Definitely subscribe. Come back and hang out. Leave comments if there's anything that you hear us chatting about that you're like, oh, I want to chime in on this and that and the whatnot. It's just a general art work in progress hangout. So hopefully you're doing something creative and working on that as well. And join us when we show up and chop it up. Let's see here. Paul real quick says, I've always used both #knowledge, the Mac and PC. I definitely went through a period where I had to work cross-platform because I was working at some design companies that were PC based. Basically, if I was working at places that were more graphic design and print, they were Mac. But I worked at some places that were web design based, and they tended to be more PC. And that was, I got comfortable enough with both that I was like, all right, yeah, I can work on either platform. In the end, once you're in Photoshop or Illustrator, the commands are pretty much the same. It's just, knowing the difference in modifiers. But see here. And Gary says, I use a PC at my day job and a Mac at home. All right, there we go. Same thing I was talking about. And there's pros and cons to each, but if I had to pick, I would go with a Mac just for the simplicity. I'm over buying components, configuring stuff. Now see that, and that's the thing. It's when you buy a component and you plug it in and then it breaks something and you don't know why, and then you end up disassembling your whole machine to try and understand what happened. That was the thing that did not appeal to me. Right. Let's see here. And Paul says, Jim did not introduce me to Dylan, though. and thank you, Dylan. He says, it's looking good. I still have some, like I said, I've got to refine this skirt and make it actually feel like it is laying across the figure as opposed to just draped in front of her the way it is now. So that's more to work on, but I appreciate the kind words. And on that note, I'm going to close things out here. So let me go back to my big old screen. And for everybody who enjoys these live streams, if you want to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, get on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you want to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress animated GIFs delivered to your inbox, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, you can sign up for my free newsletter at substack.com/@Jeremy. And if you would like to purchase physical copies of my comic books, or if you're really digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page. You can pick up my books there. And again, Herman, thank you for joining us. Herman's been in the on the Discord server for patrons. So if you're on Patreon and you ever want to just hop in and just chat with us while we're doing it, hop on over and you can chop it up with us. So thanks again, man, for jumping in. All right, everybody, that's it for now. Go be creative.